The day before was nothing special. It was special only because of how unspecial it was, or perhaps by how unspecial it would very soon become. Things were always stranger in retrospect, which was a funny little consequence of time. Aldo, who was called less frequently by his surname Damiani, and even less commonly by his birth name Ronaldo, had rolled a joint 5 minutes prior to his episode of silent meditation. He was twirling it between his fingers, staring into nothing.
Scene. The air that afternoon has the crisp, weatherless quality that only happens in Chicago for about a week in mid-September. The sun is bright overhead, and the leaves on the tree above him are mostly undisturbed. Action. Aldo raises the joint to his lips, saturating the cigarette paper.
The joint was unlit because he was thinking. He'd come out to this park to sit on this bench to solve something, and he had been sitting there for 10 minutes, thinking for 9.5, rolling for 4, and now fake smoking for a good 30 seconds. Muscle memory, Aldo had always thought, was the key to unlocking any door that wouldn't open. The act of solving something was, for him, as superstitious as anything.
Aldo glances at the audience. Noticing nothing amiss, he looks away.
The mechanics of his ritual were simple. Raise the joint to his lips, breathe in, breathe out, let his hand fall. This was the formula. Formulas he understood. He brought the joint to his lips, inhaled, and exhaled into nothing.
A breeze slides through the leaves overhead.
Aldo's right thumb beat against his thigh, percussive to the rhythm of Griegs in the Hall of the Mountain King.
Cue soundtrack.
Which then infected the rest of his fingers. They drummed against the threading of his jeans, impatient, while his left hand continued the motion of faux smoking. Aldo was thinking about quantum groups, specifically hexagons. It was Aldo's firm belief that the hexagon was the most significant form in nature. Not purely because of his fondness for the apis, commonly known as the honeybee, but not entirely unrelated. Many people were typically unaware of how many kinds of bees there were. The bumblebee was slow and stupid enough to be petted, which was sort of sweet, though not quite as interesting.
The narrator, an aging, arthritic man in possession of many books.
We interrupt your perusal of Aldo Damiani's intrusive thoughts to provide some necessary academic insight. The great Kurt Gödel, a 20th century logician and friend of Albert Einstein, believed that a continuous trajectory of light cones toward the future meant that one could always return to the same point in space-time. It is Aldo Damiani's essential thesis that these cones travel methodically, perhaps even predictably, along hexagonal paths.
Hexagons, quantum groups, symmetry. Nature loved balance, especially symmetry, but rarely managed it. How often did nature create perfection? Almost never. Math was different. Math had rules, finite and concrete, but then it just kept going. The problem and the thrill of abstract algebra was that Aldo had been studying it in depth for over 7 years, and he could study it for 7 million more and still understand almost nothing. He could spend infinite lifetimes studying the mathematical basis of the universe, and the universe would still not make sense. In 2 weeks, it might snow, might rain sideways, and then this park would not be available to him. He could get arrested for not smoking or die at any moment, and then he'd have to do his thinking in jail or not at all, and the universe would remain unsolved. His work would never be done, and that alone was tragic, exhilarating, perfect.